What's up everybody? Today we have some awesome stuff going on. I've got a lot of things I want to share with you and a lot of things that we need to get done. So let's make our way up to the cathedral and let's get started. First off, let's just say Happy New Year's. Welcome to 2021. And these are just exciting times. I'm super excited to start a brand new year and seeing what that's going to bring for us, for the channel, and just for, the content that we have here. And speaking of content, I know that most of you are Minecraft fans. And Minecraft being one of the most highly watched games on YouTube, I actually do want to provide a little bit more Minecraft content on the channel. So I'm going to try to find ways of working that out and just doing a little bit more here and there for Minecraft. The Witcher stuff is going to die off slowly. That's going to be a second or back end priority. So when there's time available to record The Witcher, that will happen. If you don't see a Witcher episode, there was no time in the works. And the Fallout stuff is always going to be there. And we'll see how that goes because Fallout is a favorite of mine. I'll probably put more of a focus on my Capital Wasteland travel guide series because that is so much fun to do. But anyways, enough chatter. Let's get this cathedral underway. Well, how did that turn out? I actually like that. The replay mod adds so much to this episode, I think. I hope you guys think the same and like what you saw. I may be doing more of that in future episodes, just because it allows me to really show off the building process, just a lot, and I like it. It's a cool style. I don't know if I'll be able to do it every episode. I'll try though, because I do enjoy it, but it is a bit of work. Let me know down in the comments field what you think. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. It's finally done. Now there's probably a little detailing that I can do here and there to improve this overall. I know that there's a bit of interior work that probably still needs to be done here and there to make this a little bit more lived in. Like that corridor right there is very empty. We can probably do a little bit more to the front area here. And in these stairways and down below in some of the rooms, we can probably add a lot more things there to really make this place pop both in and out. Right now, I think we can go and get some of those supplies while I talk about other things, because we're going to be discussing the title of this video. You know what? Let's take our horse here. Let's make our way to the farmland while we discuss how I saved Lands of Elysian. Now you're probably wondering, how did you save this world? What are you talking about? If you guys saw the last episode, you guys know that we've encountered a little bit of trouble in the Nether with Lands of Elysian. Now there is reason for it, which I finally have determined through a number of extensive testing to my capabilities. And ultimately, what I found is an issue with the seed. But for those of you that may be coming onto the channel as a new viewer and are seeing Lands of Elysian for the first time with this episode, let me give a little background into what's been happening. As we started to play on the Obsidian Order SMP simultaneously with the Lands of Elysian series, the itch for netherite has grown extensively in both series. I want to get netherite, so that led us into adventuring into the nether, something that is a first that we've never done here in the Lands of Elysian series. We started Lands of Elysian, I believe, pre-Ocean Update, so that's quite a while ago, and we're soon coming on to 1.17, which will be released in a few months. We're currently in Lands of Elysian on 1.16.4. That means that we've both gone through the Ocean Update and the Nether Update in this world. Now that sounds like a crazy long time, but you have to also remember that we took a year hiatus in Lands of Elysian while we were re-releasing older episodes on a brand new Minecraft-only channel to test out YouTube stuff. But now that we're back, after deciding to move back to the original channel, things have been progressing a little bit more smoother with this series, until now. So in the last episode, we decided to venture into the Nether to look for netherite, and we started to notice something that we didn't notice before since we were never in the Nether. Mobs in the Nether and weapons like my arrows would start to hitch and lag. And while this may not bother some people, I know many that it would bother, and I'm one of those people. I just can't play in a world where there's going to be lag, so this is something that I just couldn't live with. It was either start a new world or try to fix this problem so that we can continue building up this fantastic world that we're doing in Lands of Elysian. So for about 2 or 3 days, I went through testing a number of different settings, both with hardware, drivers and such, and then in-game settings that would change the performance of the overall game, whether that meant reducing graphics, reducing certain particle effects, anything that I could find that would smooth out the world, help it in any way. I tried system settings and game settings of all sorts in order to try and improve what we were experiencing in the Nether. Now, I do have to say that some things did actually improve the overall gameplay. However, in the Nether, it was still a failed cause. Eventually, after certain durations of time, depending on whatever settings I had on, the problem still persisted. It would still reappear. Eventually, there would be lag and hitching like we were experiencing all along. So I then tried a number of different things. I tried moving over the save data from one world to another. I tried creating new worlds and moving over the save data. I tried creating a new world in 1.16.4 with the same seed and moving over the data. I tried everything. I mean, when I say I have tried everything, I tried almost everything. But ultimately, everything I tried, whether it be building new seeds, moving over the region data, anything that I tried as far as save stuff did not work. Creating new worlds in 1.16 with different seeds worked fine, but whenever I tried to move anything from the old seed of Lands of Elysian over to a new world, the lag was always there in the Nether. Now, at one point, the changes to my settings helped so much that I actually thought I had fixed things. So I began to record the very next episode of Lands of Elysian, and I did so by going into the Nether, and we went to go look for netherite, and eventually, the longer I stayed in the Nether, like always, we started to encounter some of those issues. So as I traveled through the Nether to look for a suitable place to dig for ancient debris, the lag started to become apparent again, and you could see it in any naturally spawning mob from the Nether. They started to hitch about. They were kind of like laggy a bit as they walked or as they ran. It made it super easy for me to avoid them. My movement was smooth, everything else was smooth, but the mobs and my arrows were the worst of all. So I knew I had to drop the episode. I couldn't record any further. But I kept recording anyway while I was testing in order to see if I noticed anything later while rewatching the footage. Not much. The answer was always the same. When I was digging, dynamite would detonate delayed. I did manage to find a few bits of ancient debris that allowed me to craft a netherite pickaxe later, but even trying to get that seemed laggy and hitchy at best. And regardless of what was happening in the Nether, I took a break from testing, and I took the ancient debris that I found to smelt it over at the super smelter, and then I took those and went to craft myself a netherite pickaxe. And ultimately, I knew that testing had to resume. Everything I was trying was failing. I know that one of the better things I could have used was MC Edit, however, that has not been supported for quite some time, and though I tried it anyway, it wouldn't load, it wouldn't boot up, it wouldn't do anything, it wouldn't support any of the most current versions of Minecraft. I think the last supported version was before 1.12. So my other option was trying World Edit, and it worked in copying the area that I wanted to save. However, the area was too large and it would crash when trying to load it into a newly generated 1.16.4 world. Now, working in smaller areas probably would have been better and easier and less taxing on my system. However, we also know that World Edit has issue with rotating blocks and various other things. Still would have been a good option, but it didn't work for me this time. So with my options running out, I tried the last few things I knew might help. I booted up MCA Selector, an application that allows you to select certain chunks in your Minecraft world and export it and then re-import it into another new world map. This kind of works like World Edit, but in a different type of manner. And if any of you have ever updated a very old Minecraft world with a very new Minecraft version, you'll know that copying and pasting chunks from one region to another will produce those very harsh chunk edges in the world. So this is where I used MC Painter. It allowed me to smooth out those harsh chunk borders so that the land was merged together nice and naturally, but it also allowed me to change things like biome data, weather data, like where ice or things generate. It allowed me to change a lot of different things like the heights and depths of the oceans and the mountains. So this kind of works very, very efficiently for blending the biomes together. It was very, very effective. So with this done, I decided to boot up the world and do some further testing and just quality check overall to make sure that things were looking and both performing nicely. As far as the overall appearance of things, it was good, it was pretty great. However, there were a few instances where I found odd things, primarily with stone blocks. I found that stone blocks were added to a lot of places. It looks like most of them were hanging from the ceilings for whatever reason. In other places, I found doors were also kind of acting up with the stone blocks. There was a lot of stone blocks missing from the paths, from the floors. Diorite seemed to have an issue where some of the diorite blocks were being replaced with stone blocks. There was just a lot of strange issues. I also found missing beds, or actually the beds were there, they were just invisible, and banners were also invisible. So there was just a lot of things that I had to go back and double check. So those are some of the issues that I had with MCA Selector, which is kind of similar to World Edit. Some of the blocks were just kind of misplaced or what have you. And then of course I found that some of my work with World Painter was a little sloppy. I got a little too close to some objects when blending in the old chunks with the new chunks. And as you see with the pirate ship, the back end is kind of droopy. I also found a little bit of the trees on some of the hillsides to be drooping a little bit in some places. But most things really were okay and totally fixable. So with an overall assessment having been made with the new world, I then dove into the Nether to see how the performance overall would be in this new Nether. And I gotta say, so far, the various bits of testing that I've been able to do for certain times and durations have been pretty good. I don't think we're gonna have any issue so far, at least I hope. And amazingly, even though the new Nether portal is extremely dangerous, we did land right next to another fortress, which is pretty impressive. However, I am kind of scared of where the new portal is located. But as long as the performance overall in the Nether is much better, I really don't mind. So after determining that the new world was stable enough, especially with the Nether, we had to address all of the random block issues like the stone blocks, the invisible beds, the banners, the maps, the stone walls. We had to address these things. So what I did to fix this was go back to the original world, and I used structure blocks to copy the Fenrir Kingdom. It took quite a bit of work, but I copied just about everything above sea level, and that way I could transfer over those structure files to the new world and pinpoint the locations that I needed to put the structure blocks in order to load in the structures. Essentially what I had done was copy enough of what I needed to without disturbing the terrain, but capturing all of the structures so that I could overwrite what the MCA Selector application pasted with the structure blocks. That way I would get back all of my structures as they were built by me originally. By doing this, I got rid of all of the block issues like the missing beds, the missing walls. Well, not missing, they were invisible, but all the stone block issues. I mean, everything was primarily fixed. It was looking really, really good. But of course, none of this process is perfect. I still had to go back and do some manual adjustments to the terrain and all the old chunks that I had imported into this world. I had to merge things that MC Painter quite didn't catch. That meant adjusting the terrain a little bit, or changing some of the blocks a little bit, fixing some of the water issues that was present, fixing some of the trees that had been either not removed or just kind of affected by MC Painter. There was still a lot of manual things that needed to be done, so I did whatever I could to get the world back to a believable position because it was rough. These programs are only as good as you are at using them. And I'm not a pro at MC Painter or the other stuff that I used. But I think we've got to a level where we can continue to work in Lands of Elysian as a survival series back to what its full intentions were. And I'm hoping that this process helps somebody else in case you really want to try and preserve older worlds. It's a lot of work, but you can do it within a few days or a day or two. And that's how I saved my single player world from some weird update compatibility issue. So So far, things appear to be working great, and flawlessly. There doesn't seem to be any type of graphical or visual issues as far as lag, so I think we're pretty good. I think we're on the right path. We can continue on as if nothing ever happened, and things should be good. And don't worry, I did not forget. Let's get to comment of the day. Jaeger says, maybe when you hit 1.5k subscribers, you can do a time-lapse with shaders? Well, yeah, I can certainly try to do that. I do play with shaders all the time, so I don't see why that would be a problem. Now we just have to find a build and try to work in a complete time-lapse. We'll definitely do something special when we hit a certain landmark. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate all the support. Next on the list, we have Adela Butterfly, one of our Obsidian Order SMP members. The place looks great, referring to Frankie's build. Love the dartboard. Must have a dartboard for Frankie. I totally agree. If you know Frankie, she loves darts and she's a pro at it. Thank you, Adela, for the comment. Appreciate all the support. Then we have Intrigue MC. Intrigue says, that looks amazing. Love the diagonal design. And he's also referring to Frankie's build. Thank you so much for the comment. The place turned out really great. I'm really glad that Frankie absolutely loves it. And I guess that's it. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. I wish you all much luck in the new year. And until next time, I'll see you all in the next episodes of Lands of Elysian. Uh-oh, what's going on here?